Hey, whose voice is that? Oh, right, that's mine, your wife's. Will's voice is gone, but he really wanted to get this review out to you in time, so I'm stepping in. Today, we have a budget-conscious controller that doesn't skimp on features. The MOJHON AETHER controller includes features such as Hall effect sticks, 1000 Hz polling rate, built-in display, back buttons, and more for as low as $29.99 US on sale. It's compatible with PC, Nintendo Switch, and mobile, both Apple and Android. Let's dive into it. As you saw in the unboxing, the controller comes packaged with a USB-C cable, a 2.4 GHz wireless dongle, and a quick start manual. The controller has Xbox vibes, is light yet sturdy, with a nice matte finish and a smooth design by the grips. The orange on the analog sticks also pops. And of course, there's the built-in display, which we'll cover first as it contains much of the functionality. Clicking the function button turns on the display. Here, you can see the connection type, whether there's a connection or not, and the battery life. Clicking on function again brings up the larger menu. Under dead zone, you can adjust your left and right analog sticks. I set mine to 0 and noticed no perceivable drift. In fact, you can see through Gamepad Tester, the sticks are pretty damn close to full-on 0. And if you test the circularity of the sticks, you get a nice low number. Then you have your mapping. Here you can assign any button on the controller to another. You would use this to map your back buttons, but also can reassign any other button on the controller. In fact, you can even have one function assigned to multiple buttons if you want to. Next, we have Turbo. Turbo allows you to hold a button as opposed to button mashing. Funny enough, I found this very useful while playing 33 Immortals. At the time of this video, it's in early access and you're forced to tap X to perform light attacks, which you do a lot of. This becomes tiring over multiple runs, so I greatly appreciate the fact that it can now hold X to perform my light attacks. Next, we have our triggers. Here you can set hair triggers for one or both triggers. Now the controller itself doesn't have a physical trigger lock, but now the trigger will register the pull with the slightest amount of distance traveled. And lastly, we have vibration. I personally like having this off, but you can select low, medium, or high. It's a pretty decent rumble, all things considered, although not the strongest. Back to the main settings screen, we have a few more options. We'll speed run through these. Modes allow you to switch between X input, aka wired, versus switch for a dongle connection. Next, you can change your language. After this, you can use the pair function if you want a Bluetooth connection. Next, we have light, which affects the built-in display. By default, the display will be off while you're gaming, but it's nice to have this option if you find yourself tweaking your settings while playing wireless and using controller battery. And lastly, Info provides you with firmware version information, as well as a QR code for more info. Now, how does it feel? Well, let's start with the 1000 Hz polling rate. X input test reveals that it comes advertised at 1000 Hz polling in both wired and wireless modes. In terms of the rest of the controller, let's go through the key components. The analog sticks are smooth, as expected from Hall effect technology. Worth noting that they do seem smaller than a standard Xbox controller. You can even compare it to the GameSir G7 SE here, which are larger. Your mileage may vary in terms of your preference here. The D-pad has a nice mechanic click to it. The ABXY buttons are membrane style, although you still get a clicky response as opposed to a mushy one. This comes down to personal preference, as I know some people prefer the mouse click variation. The shoulder buttons have a nice responsive click to them. And the back buttons really stand out for me. They feel and sound more like mouse clicks, and I prefer them to the back buttons of the GameSir G7 SE. And aside from the menu buttons in the front and the MOJHON logo, that's more or less the gist of it. Let's play a couple more games, shall we? Playing a casual game like Assassin's Creed Shadows doesn't require the most responsive feedback, and the experience is smooth and I'm able to game comfortably for multiple hours. The controller works great while navigating through the world, and engaging in combat works great. But how about an FPS game to really test the controller's responsiveness? Here I am playing Halo Infinite and leveraging the back buttons for jumping and crouching. I can honestly say that my inputs feel very timely as I snap onto targets, bots in this example, and traverse the map looking for my next target. I do have my triggers set to hairline in this example, and it works great. Although admittedly, having actual trigger stops would be nice, although that's not usually a feature at this price point. In terms of my settings, I didn't even change them from what I had them as before, and they felt great on the MOJHON AETHER. Worth noting that I'm playing on 0 dead zones in both my controller built-in settings and within the in-game settings, and when I stand still, I'm not moving. Overall, the MOJHON AETHER delivers tremendous value in a tiny package. For as low as $30 US, it punches way above its weight for the price. It won't feel as premium of a controller that's triple or quadruple that price, but you have to remember that you're paying a third or a fourth of the price for similar functionality. One drawback, as touched upon earlier, is the fact that it isn't compatible with Xbox and/or PlayStation consoles, so if you game on those, this won't be the controller for you. If you're interested in finding out more about the controller, I've left the link in the video description below. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Omniscient Wolf out.